Hi, I'm Alan Paul of God and Gigs, and this is an artist spotlight. What I wanted to do is introduce you to some artists who represent what God and Gigs is all about. People that are working in the industry, they're creating, they're producing, they're doing things in the industry, but they're also connected to faith, career, and relationships, which are the pillars of the God and Gigs ideal. And so today I have with me an artist which I'm actually meeting for the first time in a real way. I saw her at a showcase and I was so impressed. I started following her. And then once I followed her amazing Instagram post, which I feel she needs to turn into her own blog soon, but I could get a sense of who she was all about. And I could see she was about family, that she had a great personality, and her performance was amazing as well. So I knew she was talented. So I would like to introduce you to Stef Silva. Hello, Stef. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's awesome to have you here. Thank you for being one of the first artists to come into this God and Gig studio that we created here. And we've just been getting to know each other. So I think this would be a great time for you to just do the Easter speech. Who am I?
Oh my.
But yeah, we could just let's put you on the spot and make you do that. But then of course we're gonna kind of get into some of the stuff that why you do what you do, and so that you and I can get to know each other, and at the same time the people can get to know you. So yeah, just tell a little bit about yourself, how you got to here to Miami, and what you do.
So my name is Stef Silva. I am a singer-songwriter from Miami, Florida. I am married, and I have a son. He's 5 years old.
Cool.
He's actually high-functioning autistic, so life is very fast-paced.
Wow.
All the time. So my husband allows me graciously to be able to do music. So and it's been really fun the past year being able to perform at different venues and being able to create with friends and build new relationships. So
Now I caught you and you said this last year. So you're saying that you've just been performing, or you've done music this last year? Like, what does that mean when you say?
so my background is church. I'm not counting all the years that I've done worship leading at my church or other churches that I've been a part of. But for the past year, singer songwriter wise, I've only been doing it for about a year, performing
Wow.
and creating.
Wow. And well, I want to go two directions here, but the first I want to go is when you say your background is church. So obviously that kind of lends to like, how did you start playing or performing in church? Were you in church and you picked up your instrument there? Like, how did your start in music and your start in church, like, was that the same?
A little secret.
Okay.
The instruments I know how to play. I couldn't tell you what key I'm in. I couldn't
Wow.
tell you anything. I memorize everything that I.
So wait, so you do everything by ear?
I guess you could say that.
Wow.
I just sit at the piano or I sit on the guitar.
No formal training ever.
A friend of mine, very close friend of mine, she taught me how to play like the basics of the guitar, but I would sit there for hours and figure out, okay, this sounds good. This could go this direction. And then I found interest in piano, but I never really was able to understand the theory part of it. So I just sat there for hours and I wrote all my songs.
Wow.
And I just memorized them. And then I have someone else play them for me.
So I have to admit now that as a theory nerd, I totally get so jealous of people that can play and sing and write and just do it from that, I guess I could say, pure place where it's simply a bit about the sounds, that you're not theorizing or making it into a puzzle the way sometimes us nerds do.
I'm jealous. I don't understand the theory. I wish I could understand it so I could communicate with my band better. So it ends up being a lot of like, this is where I want it to go, or like I'll tell them what to play because I hear the whole thing in my head. But yeah. I wish I understood it, and I never could.
So how does that work on stage? I guess now I'm kind of taking a tack when you mentioned that working with your other band members. Clearly, you're the leader. They're performing your music. So how do you communicate that in terms of what you want in your shows, in your performances? Like, how do you communicate with your musicians to make it what you want?
Well, first of all, I have to say I have the most incredible group of people with me. Most of them I've known for years, and it's like playing with family. Um, so they understand me and the way that I do things. Um, the way that I communicate is through words. So
Okay.
if I have a particular piano lead or guitar lead or drum rhythm in my mind, I will put it also in their chord and I'll say, this is the word that I want. If it's tension, I want high tension, and I'll ask them to give me that. And it might be something that I hadn't even thought of because I don't really speak the lingo and I haven't been playing it at all. So it's definitely a collaborative effort. And my main thing is I want the audience to feel this. So whatever can communicate this, that's what I want, and that's what we go with. So there's that communicative part of it, but there's also a lot of I'll tell them like, okay, this is what I want, or I'll say
a lot
the
of
lead.
a lot of the musicies, I guess you could call it the music.
Yes,
Yeah, just making the
yes.
sounds and make it
A
work.
lot of sounds. That's how I get by. I'm not even gonna lie.
Wow. Well, there's so much I want to like ask you, but I guess to go back to what you just said about how you got your start, just tell me a little bit about what brought you into music in the first place. Like were you singing as a child? Like what made you want to do this as a profession?
My mom says I used to sing all the time when I was a child. That might be very lonely thing to hear, or just that music was my, I think it was my first love. And I grew up in a home that was full of music all the time. My father was a DJ.
Oh, wow.
On the side, so I would get to go to a lot of parties with him, and every time he would get a new vinyl, we'd sit together and we would listen to it. And I'm also secretly like a little bit of a disco head, like Studio 54
Okay, all right.
type stuff.
Donna
So
Summer.
I grew up with
Yeah.
amazing voices in my ear, like Donna Summer, like
Right.
Odyssey and their song Native New Yorker. I still listen to that. I love it. Cheryl Lynn has an amazing voice.
Oh yeah.
But I would listen to all of these incredible performers, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. When The Preacher's Wife came out, we got it on CD. It was the upgrade from the cassettes.
I remember, yeah. I remember.
And I would sit under the table and I would press rewind and play, and I would mimic back what I would hear. And I would do it over and over again.
Great
until I would do
model.
it.
Great model to use, Whitney. Can't
Well,
go wrong with that.
I couldn't, unfortunately. My parents, they did everything for me. Like they gave me the best that they could, but we just could never afford vocal lessons. So what I would do is I would watch how people performed, and I would mimic. So that was kind of like music was my first love. And then when I got to college was when I wrote my first song. And it wasn't anything out of this world, but it was mine, and I wrote it, and it was such a proud moment that I had. But then I put it down because, realistically speaking, at the time, there wasn't too much support of you doing music on your own, like as a career.
Okay.
It was like, well, that's great, but what are you really gonna do with your life?
Yeah.
So,
What's your real job?
yeah, so
Oh, wow. Yeah.
so I put that to the side, and then up until I want to say 2 years ago, I was working at the rescue mission here in Miami, and I was working full time. I was a student, pretty much full time. I was also a wife and a mom, and going through therapy with my son and all those things. And I felt like I just couldn't grasp life where it was, and we decided to have me stop working to be able to focus on our son and all that. And that's where it came back. In a week, I wrote like 10 songs. And my husband said, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to just sing it in your room? I said, well, yeah, it's not a bad idea. My husband and, a couple close friends, they just really kind of pushed me out to do it, even though I wasn't comfortable with it. But that's kind of where I started last year for about a year and some
Wow.
change.
So I find this amazing that your I don't want to call it a struggle because you can define it however you want, but this moment of with your son, and I want you to talk more about that, about the autism and how you faced, raising a special needs child, and how that's even impacted as far as your faith, and how you see, that working in terms of, but the fact that pushed you into doing this, whereas I think a lot of people would say, oh, well, you have this life struggle, that means you put your artistic side away when those struggles come. And so it's very interesting to me that you feel that was your opening, that when you saw, I guess what was what you needed to express, you could only express it through music. Is that the right way to say it?
You could say that. I wrestled the most with God, with myself, and with my life when I would write music.
Mm.
And that was an escape, but it was also therapy, and it was also one of the few moments that I could be real with myself and real with God, and just be where I was and be okay with that and have to be okay with it.